Hey everyone, Mish here. Welcome to my channel. Ever had data like this, where multiple values are crammed into single cell? Maybe it's a list of purchased products, survey responses, or employee skills. But here's the problem. If you try to analyze this data as is, you hit the wall. For example, if you want to build a pivot table to count number of people who purchased product X, or filter by specific categories, it won't work until you split these values into separate rows. In today's video, I am going to show you how to do this automatically with UiPath. Let's dive in. Before we start building our workflow, I'll show you the Excel data we're using today. So this is the sample Excel file we're using today. There are 3 columns, and in the products column, we have some rows with multiple products in one cell. So we're going to build a workflow to split these multiple products into separate rows. The first thing we need to do is to load the Excel data into our workflow. The first activity we need is an activity called range workbook activity. And in the workbook path, we can just select the file. I'll select the samples Excel file that I've created for this workflow. And then for the sheet name, I know it is called sheet 1 in the Excel file. I'll just enter sheet 1. And then we will keep range empty because we want to read everything within sheet 1. So we're not going to specify any value here. And then once we have read the data, we want to store it into a data table. We will call this data table DT1. And then we will set this as a variable. And then it is automatically created as data table. The reason why I created it as DT1 because I need another table for our final data. So I'll call this data table DT2. So we need an assign activity to initialize DT2. So I'll call our new data table DT2 and Control K. And to initialize DT2, I will clone DT1. So DT1.clone. So make sure DT2 is data table variable type as well. So this is how we initialize data table 2. Next, we need to look through each row in data table DT1 and check if the products column contains comma. So we need an activity called for each row in data table. And the data table is DT1. And item name, I'll just call it row. So for each row in DT1, I'll check if the products column has any commas. So we need if activity, and the condition will be role bracket products. And make sure we convert to string, and we use the function contains bracket comma. So if the products column contains a comma, we will then assign a new row object. So we need an assign activity, and the value we are going to save will be dt2 the new row. So if this condition is true, we'll create a new row object in our new data table, dt2 new row. And then we will save it to a variable. We'll call it row dt2. And we'll set this as our new variable. Control K. We need to make sure the variable type of row dt2 is set as data row. So let's check the variable type of dt2. It was initially set as string, so we need to change it to data row. The next activity we need is to get each product separated by comma in our products column. So we need an assigned activity. And I'll create a variable called products. And I'll grab the row of the products column. And use the function split to split them by the character comma. Just save it. And we need to make sure products is an array because we are storing multiple products. So we need an array of string. So we choose array of string. In the next step, we will need a for each loop to loop through each item in product. When a row contains multiple products in the products column separated by commas, we will first clone the row of each individual product and then replace the product list in the products column with just one product. So this is how it's gonna look like. For example, we have this row with multiple products. So the first step in the activity, we will first clone the row with multiple products. And then the second step will be to rewrite this cell with just single product, which is the first item in the products. So we will rewrite this with just products there. And then we repeat the same process with the second product, which is product X. And then we rewrite this cell with product X. And then we repeat the same for product Y. So that is how we end up with 3 rows. So this is what is going to happen in our workflow. So we will first need an assign activity. Now actually we need a for each activity. So we will get the for each activity. So for each item in products, I'll rename the item name as item. So for each item in products, we will clone everything in their role. So we need an assign activity to clone the item array of their role and assign it to our item array of DT2's role. So what we are going to do is first we will try cast, which is used to convert a data type to a different data type. So the reason why we use try cast is that if the casting fail, it will return nothing instead of an exception. So we'll do role item array dot clone, and then we will pass it as object. Then we'll assign it to our role DT2 dot item array. So we will clone our original item array from DT1 into DT2. And then we will assign item to products column. This is because we want to rewrite the multiple products in our products column into just one single product. So this step is gonna just clone the row with multiple products, and we need to rewrite that column, that cell, with just one product. So we need another assign activity. And then because our column is on index 2, so index stuff from 0, 1, 2. So we will assign row DT2 index 2 with item, which is the item of our product, which is our individual product. After that, we need to add this new array row to our data table DT2. So we need to add data row, and we will use the array row where we will put row dt2 dot item array, and then we will output it into our dt2. So the main part of our workflow is done, which split our multiple products into separate rows. But we do have rows that contain individual products. We just need to add them back to the Excel sheet. So when the condition is not satisfied, because we do have if conditions where we check whether the products column contains comma. So if it does, then we have those steps which helps us to separate the multiple products into individual rows. So if it doesn't satisfy the condition, then we have this else statement where we need to add in the same step, which is add data row. But instead of adding the new processed item array, we just need to add in our original rows for each column. So what we need to do is just we'll just put in the array. So curly bracket, and then we will have row 0. So because we have row 0, row 1, and row 2, so it's pretty straightforward. We just add them back in to our Excel sheet. Make sure we convert to string, and then the next one, row 1 to string, and row 2. String. Now we save it, and then I'll put it into our data table 2 as well. So that's all. That's the end of our workflow. Let's run this workflow and see what we get. Okay. Let me close this. Don't save. Close this as well. Sorry. I forgot the most important part, which is to write it into a new file. So let's write this into a new file. We need a write range activity. And now just call new file as samples final. Sheet name, let's give it sheet 1. Data table 2, DT2, and let's run this workflow now. Okay, let's go back to our folder, and this is our final file. And there we have it. We have individual products now in separate rows instead of being crammed into a single cell. And that's how you split messy data into multiple rows with UiPath. Now you can finally build those pivot tables properly. If this helped you, please smash that like button and subscribe for more automation tips. Got next task you'd like me to automate? Please drop in the comments below. Until next time, happy automating. Ciao.